this. I've been trying to figure out on my iPhone to be able to change it to rotate the screen. And every time I want to rotate the screen, like if I were to do this, it automatically says rotation is locked, rotate device back. So it's like, how do I change that? And of course, I know that's not really what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about tonight's broadcast. So I'll just go ahead and make this video now, and then we'll talk about, uh, or maybe if you guys any tips. I do know it says to go in there. I watched several videos. You go into the advanced settings, and where you can either click on chat, no chat, or that type stuff, or if you have paid ads. And then right under that, it's supposed to be orientation. And my iPhone, I don't have that. So I got to figure out. I got an iPhone 15, and I just have not been able to figure out what to do there. All right, though, seriously, though, what's going on tonight? I am doing a very special broadcast. And, like my wife said the other day, we voted for Jesus. We're not going to vote for Kamala or for Trump. And something that came to me this morning that was very, very troubling is what I'm going to be speaking about tonight. And that is, and quite frankly, our election will be a major role in this as well. As I was thinking about how that right now Israel is really laying waste to all of their neighbors. And then it dawned on me why they're doing that. Granted, we already know it's to help to try to make it look like biblical prophecy being fulfilled. But here's the really bad downside to that. This is going to cause the death of many, many, if not thousands, maybe even 1 million Jewish lives will be lost as a result of what they're trying to do in the Middle East. That's what's very troubling for me. And I'm thinking to myself, why in the world would people like Netanyahu and the likes of him, Ben Gvir, Smotrich, those guys, they're already radicals. We never looked at Prime Minister Netanyahu as being that much of a radical. But secretly, he really has been. And so I'm thinking to myself, why would they do this? Why would they go in there? I mean, let's face it, Gaza, this is not about revenge. This is not about Hamas coming in and killing 1,200 Jewish people, dragging off 250 hostages. And then later we find out Israel knew the number that was going to be taken. They knew the attack was coming. The Egyptian authorities are warning them, hey, look, Hamas is fixing to attack you. And instead we find out from Israelis, this was an inside job. They basically sacrificed their own people, pulled out their weapons so they couldn't defend themselves only a week before the attack. That was from an Israeli soldier that blew the whistle. He's an American Israeli. And I'm gonna put all this together for you tonight when I bring this out. And I'm just, my heart is so heavy over this. My whole desire, my whole life has been that I could wake up the Jewish people to know that Jesus Christ is the Messiah. That's been my heart's desire. I want my people to know who the Messiah is. And in the beginning, I thought this is what the Messianic movement was all about, but it's not. It's about creating the state of Israel. It's about trying to make it look like prophecy fits. And this is why I'm so desperately trying to finish this book right now, so it can open up people's eyes. And I'm doing it at a depth to where you'll have scholastic eyes in viewing it to see from that depth of a level that this is totally wrong. But then I'm saying to myself, we have the Holocaust. We visited when we lived in Europe, Dachau, Auschwitz, because these were the concentration camps that had family member names of my family that died there. So I understand the heart-wrench that Jews go through when they think about the Holocaust. I know that my mother's family fled Germany because the persecution in the 30s was so bad. And they came to the United States illegally just to get away from it. But I'm watching this, and then one thing came to my mind. The worst of the worst Jews that we ever had were those Jews that were the prison guards of Jews. You know, it's bad enough that the Jewish people were put in concentration camps and were experimented on, every kind of atrocity you can imagine, and then gassed, murdered, taken to the field, shot and killed, you know, like the Bielski family, which Michael, a good friend of mine, you know, listening to the horror stories that his father faced during that time. Of course, he was born in Israel because his father first went to Israel. But then his father saw the evil that was happening amongst Jewish people to create a state. And he said, I won't be any part of this. And so he leaves Israel and he comes to the United States. He's like, this is like nuts. Jews want to kill Jews in order to be able to get a state. And he's like, he told him, there's no way. He said, I just spent the last 6 years of my life defending the old, the elderly, the weak, the feeble. He said, I didn't care. If they were Jewish, I was there to defend them. And now you're telling me, in order to get a state, I've got to kill Jews and keep them from taking Jerusalem because of some political agenda? He said, I won't be any part of that. God bless Tuvia Bielski's heart for being that type of a man. But as I looked at this whole scenario, I realized it's just like it was during the Holocaust. They put the prison guards in charge of Israel. The very brutal, horrific Jewish guards, so that they had prestige and whatever it was with the Germans, maybe they get a little bit more food for their family or whatever, sold out the rest of their people, beat them, abused them, torture them, whatever the Germans wanted, so that they could have something in return. And it came to me this morning, that's who's running the state of Israel. The same type people. And then I remembered all the research I've done over Israel becoming a state, those that are in power, those that had, you know, like in the case when I shared with you guys years ago about the Hungarian Jews, they could have rescued all 800 and something thousand, but instead they let them go to their deaths. This is in the book Holocaust Victims Accused, written by rabbis that knew they allowed 800 and something, nearly 1 million Jews to go to Auschwitz, and they only rescued, what was it, 20,000? Then the same price they paid for the 20,000, they could have got all 800,000, and they would have been allowed to go to Israel. In fact, I can actually, not only can I prove that, but I can also prove to you that the Germans, the same man, was involved in allowing the early days Mossad to come in and negotiate for certain Jews, the wealthy Jews, to be able to be transferred to Israel. And they did it. So I realize that whatever your choice is in politics, that's up to you. But I guarantee you one thing, Kamala's been no better. She's helped Biden send the arms over to Israel too, to keep blasting away all the neighbors. And why are they doing it? They're trying to manufacture a prophecy. Well, you can count on one thing. Donald Trump, his ear will be pulled by Paula White, who is saying right now, you need to be studying under rabbis. You can count on a fact too that Hagee is going to have his ear, and all these other Zionist leaders are going to have his ear, that you have got to go support Israel and kill all these Muslims that are in the Middle East. That's what they're going to say. And what is it really? It's a trap. You see, you have to understand the Talmudic teachings. They believe that 6 million more Jews will die before the coming of the Mashiach, the Messiah. So what will they do? They're trying to incite the Muslims so bad that they will attack Israel so that they can justify laying waste to Syria, to the rest of Lebanon, because greater Israel encompasses Lebanon and more than half of Syria. So in order to fulfill their demonic agenda, and I say it's demonic because, Yano did a beautiful message years ago proving Israel already controlled from the Nile to the Euphrates. Under, I think, Solomon's rule, Israel had control of that whole area. That prophecy was fulfilled. And yet I'm sitting here thinking to myself, when people like Kamala Harris say that, we got to learn from the rabbis, right? And yet Moses said, the Lord thy God will raise up a prophet likened unto me. And in everything that he says, you are to hear. And if you do not hear, you will be cut off. Plain and simple. Jesus came, he fulfilled the prophecy. The people that heard him, God bless. Those that didn't, he cut them off, sent Titus, the Roman general, in there and just totally cut them off. And yet we have Messianic teachers, Zionist teachers, I should call them, not Messianic. Messianic's not even fair to even say. Some Messianic teachers are very good people. But Zionist teachers are filling the heads of world leaders to obliterate the Arabic people so they can bring this prophecy to pass that for the most part has already come to pass. Do you know the house of Israel, the full house of Israel that will come in according to the Apocrypha of Peter, when he writes about that, you know how they come in? They come in because they recognize that Jesus Christ was the Messiah and that the fake Messiah figure that is brought on the scene will be the Antichrist, and then they will be slaughtered for their faith, for what they believe, for their stand for Jesus Christ. I guarantee you one thing, that remnant of the house, well, it won't be the remnant, it'll be the full house of Israel when they come in. The remnant of Israel that came in, the house of Israel, was back on the day of Pentecost. That was the remnant. I did a teaching on that not long ago to help really understand what Paul wrote in Romans 11. There is a fullness of them coming in, and it happens right here in the day you're living in. And what's going to be funny? They're not going to believe anything that we have taught for years of the Zionist doctrine nonsense. They won't even believe it. They will believe Jesus Christ and him alone and what he had to say. And they're not going to tell you, oh, go listen to the rabbis. They have all the truth just for you. I get that we can learn a lot from Old Testament to make us to be able to understand the words that Jesus Christ spoke to us. No doubt about it. But the time has come. The truth has got to be told. And even Trump has already said, those people that are anti-Semitic, we're going to get them out of the country. There's some powerful voices raising up of young Jewish people that have had enough. But those prison guards, like they were in the Holocaust, they're controlling the majority. And they've also sent the people that were sent to Israel, put into brainwashing schools to make sure that they got the minds of the people to support nothing but genocide. Thank God that there are a few that don't. Thank God that there are a few Jewish people in the state of it. Well, we know 50% of them wanted to oust Netanyahu. They knew something was wrong when he wanted to bring a totalitarian regime and not a democracy in the Middle East. So no, Israel may be a democracy to some standards, but soon it won't be. If they have their way, it won't be. And then they will fulfill the prophecy of Daniel chapter 7, or was it Zechariah? Daniel, I believe it is, where they think to change the times and not the law, but the decree, Artaxerxes' decree. They will change the time. They will say that 2,500 years ago was not the advent of the Messiah getting ready for him, but it's today we're trying to get ready for him. That's the time they'll change. They'll say today's the time, not then. They will say 2,000 years ago was not the advent of the Messiah. That's the changing of the time. The changing of the time is about Jesus Christ. It's not about changing the Sabbath, the Sunday law or something like that. No, because it doesn't say Torah. It says dat. Dat is a Persian word that means decree, a kingly decree. That's what they want to change. They want to change that decree. And they want you to believe that that time that Jesus came was not the real time of the Messiah. That's an Antichrist setup. And nobody seems to get it. So, unfortunately, I don't see, as far as this political system, I mean, look, we're only given two choices. At least, I do have that respect for the Israeli way they do their political system there. You got more than just two choices. But in our country, you don't. What is that? That's because AIPAC controls our nation. We're bought and sold. Thomas Massey is the only politician currently that has the guts to say it. There were others like Cynthia McKinney had the guts to say it. And there was another guy too that I played for you guys not long ago. I forgot his name. He's already passed away now. He also had the guts to say it. And Thomas Massey said, I'm not against Israel. I never supported BDS. I never voted against Israel. I just don't vote for war, but I don't vote for any war. I don't vote for funding war. And I sure don't want an AIPAC guy. God bless him. But we're such a minority that believe this way. If you really stand for that type of truth, you really want to stand for what's really right, support the broadcast. We ask your help on that. It's not easy. It's not. So thank you and God bless you. And I'll see you tonight with the proof to back it up. Have a good night. Have a good day. Sorry. So, anyway, you guys have a blessed day. God bless and stay safe. And we'll talk later this evening.